Yeah.
Good afternoon, viewers, and welcome to a special feature of It's Always Beeroclock. I'm Mark, and I'm here with Sidekick Dave and Simon.
Mark, this special edition, what's the theme of today?
Well, we're about to discuss the parameters of an episode of It's Always Beeroclock.
Well, It's Always Beeroclock is about exploring craft breweries, independent craft breweries. Now, in our philosophy, our definition of a craft brewery is one that isn't publicly listed or owned by a national or international mainstream brewer.
Right, and we've got a range of beers here that we're going to taste and discuss whether that brewery would comply with our parameters. Let's get into some beer, boys.
You bet.
All right, folks, the first beer on our list for today's tasting and assessment of independence is Cooper's Sparkling Ale.
So, Mark, Coopers, aren't they just a big mainstream brewer?
Well, I wouldn't agree with that, Dave. I think Cooper's is predominantly still owned by the Coopers family.
Sure, yeah.
So it's not publicly listed. I wouldn't call it mainstream, and the reason I wouldn't call it mainstream is this sparkling ale, which they've made since 1862. It's got a whole pile of yeast in the bottom of the bottle. It's certainly not a mainstream beer, and I think it fits our rule of independence, despite being the third largest brewer in Australia.
I suppose you're right. The key is it's family owned still,
Yes.
not listed.
Well,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Certainly doesn't have the mainstream pedestrian flavour. It's good.
It's very cloudy as a result of the yeast in it.
And very sparkling. Stating the obvious.
It was Australia's original craft beer, despite coming from back in the 1860s.
1862. So getting back to the topic, you said craft breweries make lagers and ales and stouts. I mean, just about all of them make either an IPA or an XPA of some sort. Is that a condition that you would say it's a requirement of a craft brewery?
I think there needs to be an artisanal factor, and I also think, if your main number one and almost dominant beer is a lager, then I would say you're hard pressed to call that craft beer.
So how then?
But a lot of the little independent breweries we've gone to have said that, the lager's often their best seller because.
And I know you can cut this out, but look at somewhere like Freshwater.
Yeah.
They are lagers and pills. And
Yeah, actually, I'll retract what I said because they're talking about making quality. They're taking it a step up from your
Yes.
mass-produced sort of lagers.
Yes, and a well-made artisanal lager is much better than,
That's
Tui's.
That's right.
No offense to Tui's.
That's
if you're
right.
watching.
Yeah, and if you're talking about mainstream beers, what I think about is, apart from your Tui's, 4X, Carlton in Australia, I'm thinking about the beers that you can always get at an international airport: Heineken, Carlsberg, Guinness,
Corona.
Corona. They're just ubiquitous.
Yep.
They're mass-produced, billions of litres a year. So I think there has to be a sort of a handmade factor to it.
Yep. And often those big international brands have grown up from their roots. I'll use Heineken as an example. For years and years and years, Heineken was always brewed at the one place and shipped overseas. Then they spread out. So Heineken in, say, Thailand is made in Thailand. And so those brewers like Tiger, a lot of those mainstream
Yeah.
brands and styles, usually it's a lager, are now made domestically elsewhere.
Yeah. So it's multinational and mainstream.
Yes, yes.
So does not tick our box.
No, no.
X.
Okay, our next beer for review and discussion is Balter XPA. David, I believe this is one of your favourites.
Well, for something that is able to be found in many, many pubs, it's like the step up from your standard mainstream beers. And of their range, I love the Balter XPA.
Yeah, well, I know I've been in many a pub with you, and often it's your sort of go-to at the pub when there's nothing more crafty available.
And so why haven't we done a review on them?
Well, it's an XPA. It was,
Former PA.
yes.
No.
I would say it's a craft brewery. I wouldn't say it's not a craft brewery. However, some time ago, it was bought by Asahi, the large Japanese multinational brewer, and Asahi owns Carlton, Cascade, Four Pines, Mountain Goat, Pirate Life, and a range of others. So that's why, those other people have said to us, when are you going to do Four Pines? Well, we can't do it because it's owned by Asahi.
Well, that's a good explanation, because I'm sure people are wondering why haven't we done certain other ones as well, and typically it's because of that ownership structure, isn't it?
That's correct.
But, playing devil's advocate here, what if the beer was still being crafted by the original brewers on their own, and they were just owned by Asahi? They were still doing the craft beer thing. Would that qualify?
Well, I think ultimate ownership and control trumps that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Fair enough.
There are, over the course of this afternoon, we'll come across a lot of beers that are like that, where the original brewery still makes the beer,
Yep.
but it's owned and controlled by a multinational or a publicly listed company or something like that. It's lost its independence.
We're probably going to have a number of ones that could sit either way, or it'd be good to discuss once we come across them.
And I'm not suggesting that Balter is that, because Balter's everywhere, so I'm sure it's being mass produced.
As a punter going in the pub, I'm pleased to see this as an option, but I also totally understand why we would not do an episode there.
You're going to have that rather than a Carlton Draft or a Great Northern or a Tooheys.
What about a Resch's?
Resch's Refreshers.
Resch's Refreshers, owned by Carlton, and United, who's owned by Asahi. They're a good beer. I'm not saying they're not good beers. They're a great beers that are not independent. Anyway, this is a thirsty conversation.
It certainly is.
Cheers.
It's got quite a fruity nose.
It's very fruity on the nose. That's the X factor.
Guys, beer number 3, Little Creatures Pale Ale. I would say this was the first of the modern Australian craft beers, or certainly the first one that I tasted, and when I tasted it was a real revelation.
Thank you.
Because everything else was your Tooheys 4X VB, and apart from Cooper's, which was the only beer that sort of tasted a little differently.
not too thirsty, Simon?
That's okay, I'm driving.
A little creature. So,
A little creature, yeah.
Simon, you've had little creatures before.
I have had. I sprayed and I got rid of them.
It's described as a pale ale. I always thought it was an American pale ale.
Pale ale, yeah.
Was based in, or is based in Western Australia, or was based in Western Australia. It was, as I say, perhaps the first of the modern Australian craft beers. can't help. One thing I can't help thinking when I first had it way back in the 90s or whenever it was, I loved it. I thought it was great, and I wonder whether they've like tinkered with the recipe to sort of make it more mild in flavour, or whether it's just I'm so used to craft beer that it's not as different or not as outstanding.
I was wondering the same because it's a solid beer, but there's nothing. It doesn't have as much pizzazz as I think it used to be, and so whether they've changed it, or are we just blessed with so many other options?
Yeah, they probably changed it.
Well, it may be that when they were bought out, some efficiency factors came into being because it is owned by Kirin, the other big Japanese brewer, who owns, amongst many others, 4X, Tui's, Hahn, James Squire, White Rabbit, and Bogues.
Oh, White Rabbit does great beers.
Yeah.
Their black ale.
The dark. Yeah,
ale.
White Rabbit Dark is a perler.
So do they make them all in the Kirin factory, or do they have a separate Little Creatures and a separate White Rabbit? Do we know?
That I don't know. I don't think Little Creatures is based in WA anymore.
Well, where does it say it's brewed?
Oh, that's a good point. God, read the label.
I can't read that.
I'll read it while you're having a chat.
Take a photo of it and zoom in. That's what I do. Beer brewed and bottled around Australia All right.
in carbon neutral breweries.
So they go, okay, today we're making Little Creatures.
See, they can make it at 4X, they can make it at Tui's, they make it at Hahn, they go, okay, pull out the recipe book, here's the Little Creatures recipe.
They still give Fremantle as the address because it says by or under licence from Little Creatures Brewing, part of the Lion Group. And then they give the Fremantle address.
Which is part of the Kirin Group.
Yes.
So they're lying about that.
Yeah. And I will hasten to say again that there's nothing wrong with Kirin beer or Japanese beers. They're great.
Yep.
But we're just champions of independence.
Yes.
Mind you, it is a different positioning. Hopped with Cascade and Chinook hop cones, unpasteurised and live bottle conditioned. Our pale ale has unique hoppy, balanced and refreshing flavours.
Oh, there you go. So bottle conditioned, like Cooper's.
Yeah. Preservative free, or most beers these days are in Australia.
Oh, right. They're following the German beer purity law of 1516?
Yeah, they've taken a lot of the preservatives out, even mainstream beers these days.
So we could get ill.
People get ill from preservatives. They have allergic reactions.
That is true.
And you shouldn't be drinking a beer that's more than about 6 weeks old anyway. You know, the fresher the better.
Yes. Yes, that's true. With certain exceptions.
I got this in the bargain bin. It was like out of date.
But those exceptions would be those who ferment more in the mature more?
Cooper's Sparkling Ale is a good example, and potentially this, that Cooper's used to have a best after date stamped on the bottle. I don't know if they still do.
No, but remember the Cooper's Vintage Ale.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That improves with age and the flavours just change.
Yes, yes.
And of course the Orval.
Orval. Well, even lager beers are supposed to be lagered for 6 weeks before they're released. Okay, 6 weeks isn't a long time. It's a long time if you're thirsty.
Yeah.
And so that's why we wouldn't do an episode on Little Creatures then. Again, ownership structure.
That's right. It's a craft beer in all other sort of by any other measure.
The other thing with what we do is that we go to a venue, and does Little Creatures have a venue? Is there a Little Creatures brewery that you can visit?
Well, it says it's brewed around Australia.
So it's like there isn't any
taproom,
concrete bricks and mortar.
Once in
green tiles.
green tiles.
Once in a while, we do go to a tap room, which is different from the brewery, but that's generally because the brewery doesn't have a tap room.
Yeah.
At the factory.
Yeah.
But there's a dedicated tap room associated with the brewery.
Yeah.
Yes, the venue's in a better location than where their brew tanks might be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. We've got a beer here by Willie the Boatman. It's called the Crazy Ivan IPA. Willie the Boatman, of course, was the very first episode of It's Always Beeroclock before
Thank you
Dave
very much.
joined the team. But it has undergone a slight, I won't say slight, it's undergone an ownership change since we visited. And I'd like to discuss whether or not we think it would still comply
With our philosophy.
with our philosophy.
Yeah, okay.
Whether it would still be reasonable for us to go there. So,
Am I allowed to take a drink before we have that discussion?
yeah, it'll give you thinking time. So, it was purchased by a UK craft brewer called Powder Monkey, probably about a year and a half ago. Powder Monkey had a brewery, or have a brewery, just near Portsmouth in the south of England, and I think they've also purchased another craft brewery in England, somewhere else in England. In Australia, they purchased Southern Highlands, a craft brewery, Willie the Boatman, a craft brewery, Akasha, a craft brewery, which we've also done an episode on, and Wayward, a craft, which we also did an episode on.
In fact, we've done an episode on.
Remember, Dave?
Oh, I don't think I was Robinson Crusoe on that front there, Mark. But so we've done episodes on all of those places.
We have.
You think that's the factor? We do an episode, they buy it?
That increases the value.
Are we influencers?
So, do we think it now complies with our philosophy?
Well, we have kind of set up that philosophy in today's discussion more as an opposite or a negative, what's not included. So if we continue along that vein, is it a publicly listed or publicly traded, multinational?
No.
Is it a national or multinational mainstream brewer?
It's multinational, but it's mainstream? I don't think so.
I don't think so, because it's just a grouping of craft breweries. So you've got one craft brewer who's bought a number of other craft brewers, and it's not listed and continues to maintain each of the individual brands.
So just because you have multiple craft breweries owned by someone doesn't make them a national mainstream brewer.
No, I don't think so. As opposed to, say, a Asahi buying 4 Pines.
Yep.
Yeah. So that, they are multinational mainstream, even though they've got these little pockets of craft beer around the place.
And we didn't really touch on this, but I should imagine that one of the reasons for adopting that philosophy is we want to support not just the little guy, but the independent craft brewery consortiums.
I think it gets, over time, harder for the craft brewers to compete with these multinationals, because you just don't have the
Deep
economies of scale. So I guess we want to champion the small guy, the little guy, and I would say the Powder Monkey Group is still the little guy.
Oh yeah.
But getting bigger.
But only marginally each time.
What is their game, do you think? What is their plan? They just have too much money and they don't know what else to spend it on? Let's buy breweries. Let's
Well,
Like Pokemon, let's get them all.
Well, I think it's sort of like, maybe it's like a mini Kirin in that if there are a handful of craft breweries and they can get a little bit of economy by, getting better contracts for purchasing raw materials or warehousing and distribution. That can take 50 cents off a can of beer, and at the end of the day, many consumers are, driven by price.
Did you get 50 cents off that one?
No, that was rather expensive. I bought just one rather than getting the 4-pack.
And of course, our position may change if Powder Monkey ever listed on a public exchange.
Yeah.
Then they would be persona non grata.
Yeah, and so currently they're not, and so we're happy to. I would say that's why we embrace the brands under Powder Monkey.
That's right, yes. and indeed, a brewery and venue named Powder Monkey just opened in Camden. Dave and I had a quick visit last week, and maybe in a few months' time we'll do a proper episode there. Mm-hmm. So I look forward to that one.
Yes.
All right, well, cheers.
Yes, cheers.
Crazy Ivan. All right, gents. Brewery number 5, Young Henry's. We have done an episode on Young Henry's. Their signature beer is the Newtowner Australian Pale Ale.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Now, earlier on, Dave, you were saying this beer is fairly ubiquitous around Sydney.
If you didn't know about their ownership structure, you could easily be confused that this is a mainstream owned brewer. And so my comment was, yes, this is another one you'll find in many pubs in Sydney. And this is another, from my perspective, a great go-to.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you survey and you've got your Tuis and your 4X and your Great Northern, and there's a Young Henry's, you go to Young Henry's.
What if there's a Resch's?
Well, occasionally I do go to Resch's.
It's very rarely there's a Resch's.
You're drinking in the wrong places, Simon.
That's right. You've got to become a member of the. You've got to become a member of the Resch's Appreciation Society.
Yeah. Anyway, this isn't about Resch's. This is about the Newtowner.
Yes.
So cheers.
Cheers.
And despite the fact that it is ubiquitous, you can find it in lots and lots and lots of pubs, and they've got quite significant production. It is independent. It's still owned by the founders, Oscar McMahon and Richard Adamson, so it most certainly ticks our box.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, as Dave said, ubiquitous, and they make spirits now and all kinds of things.
Let's come back to this beer, which it's fairly approachable. It's not, nobody's going to be offended by this beer. It's sort of like a good alternative, I suppose, to your mainstream beers. When I say alternative, not too different. Like, it's quite a drinkable, sessionable beer.
So for someone who would normally be drinking a Tui's or a VB or something like that, the one we had earlier, the Bolter XPA, possibly is a little bit too far for someone who's drinking just mainstream beer.
So if you're wading in at the shallow end of craft beer, this is a good one to have.
Yes, which is the philosophy of Broken Bay.
That was their philosophy, yes.
Okay.
Yes, not be too extreme.
And
Craft beer for beginners.
Yes.
And it wasn't for the beer nerds, but that's their positioning, that's fine. Good beer though.
Good beer. It's a good, just go-to everyday beer.
Yeah.
So that's a question for the philosophy team. Do we, breweries that also distill, is that allowed?
No, it's not allowed.
We have visited probably, I reckon, about 30 to 40% of breweries we've been to also distill.
Yeah.
You look at Two Halves distills.
Yes.
Eden distills. There's a lot that distill. They just don't.
It's not their
trumpet
main.
that.
It's not their main product, but it's sort of like an add-on.
Yeah.
It's a bit. I mean, it's a bit like some of the make ginger beers or ciders as well.
Yeah.
So
although they're all similar to the brewing
they're
process,
still
they need
fermented,
separate
brewed
equipment to
to distill. That's right. But I suppose they're trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
But also there are people, sad as this might sound, but people who don't drink a lot of beer and they're looking for other alcoholic alternatives.
Yep. Yeah. Also, I think maybe if you're into the whole process of making beer, then the process of making spirits might also be of interest to you, because
Be
there's
appealing, yes.
there's machines and there's little taps and tubes and stuff.
That's right. And fine tuning the flavour of something. Yeah. All right, boys. The number one craft beer in Australia for the last 4 years is Mountain Culture's Status Quo Pale Ale. Let us taste it and let us discuss it.
Ooh,
Quite pale.
quite light, isn't it?
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Well, it says Pale Ale on there, so
Less for me.
less for you. That much.
Yep. Perfect.
It's got a distinctive nose.
As I said, this has been the number one Australian craft beer for the last 4 years. It's still independently owned by DJ and Harriet McCready, the people who started the brewery. There's only one other owner, and that's somebody who came in more recently. It's Pat Cummins, the captain of the Australian cricket team.
Wow.
Wow.
But despite Pat Cummins' ownership, I think we still would call it independent.
So the ownership status quo has changed.
Oh, yes, it has. It's no longer the status quo. But yeah, still proudly independent, although we went to their brewery at Emu Plains, which is absolutely massive. But, okay, despite the huge scale of it, they're still an independent brewery and still producing quality beers that you can pretty much get. You can get the status quo anywhere, any bottle shop in Sydney. I'm not sure about interstate, but certainly any bottle shop in Sydney you can get them.
If people are wondering, I think it's good to note that when you say it's the number one craft beer for the last 4 years, and that's based on voting, not based on
It
sales.
says 3 times on the can.
It does say 3 times on the can. They obviously printed the cans
Before
Before the latest Gabs.
Yes,
Yeah.
they weren't presumptuous.
But yeah, so it's based on voting, not based on sales.
That's right. It's a vote like the Triple J Hottest 100. So yes, it's a popularity contest, but not necessarily by sales.
Yes. It's still a good drop though.
It is still a good drop. It is very hazy. It's got quite a hoppy aroma to it. I think DJ McCready's an American, and they sort of pioneered these sort of very hoppy craft beers back in the probably 80s and 90s.
It's not bad.
It's quite refreshing.
It's not as fruity as I remember the first one being.
But if you were a beginner to craft beer, I probably wouldn't start with this one.
I think that would turn you off craft beer. If you were used to drinking,
It's a little too different than your standard mainstream beer.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're better off going to your Balter XPA.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Or a Stone and Wood.
Interesting though.
Or
that
a Newtowner.
Oh yeah.
Interesting though that it's different, but it's also the most popular. at least amongst, beer nerds. I
Yes.
suppose.
So Mark, what are we moving on to now?
We're moving on to a brewery called Moo Brew from Tasmania, and we've got their IPA to taste.
Ooh.
Do either of you know anything about Moo Brew?
Oh, I do.
I've heard of Moo Brew, but
I don't know about Moo Brew actually, but I know about David Walsh, who,
Oh yes.
was he the poker player?
yes, a gambler. I think he's like a mathematician / gambler. I don't know. He worked out some kind of
Okay.
Professional gambler.
professional scheme to make lots of money from the house,
Is he Mona?
and he owns Mona.
Yeah, he's an art collector, and
Yeah.
he founded the Museum of Old and New Art.
Wow.
Yes.
And I think there's a winery there, and there's also a brewery called Moo Brew. So it's an independent brewery, but it's got an interesting backstory there, built on gambling.
Yes.
Well, winnings, built on winnings.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And so what are we drinking today?
It's their IPA. So it's a little bit hazy by the looks of it. It's a little hoppier than the status quo that we just tried.
Fully hoppy.
It's, to me, the nose is a bit more subtle, but the taste, I think, is stronger. Because we've tried a couple of,
the nose is subtle, but the tongue, so right into the mouth, back of the lungs.
because we've had Willie Button was an IPA,
Yeah.
the status quo.
This is
This is different. This is, I think,
there's more cordial in the mix. It's
I'm going to say
a
stronger.
lot more punchy.
I don't know what stronger means, but it's stronger. I like it.
It's the devil's alcohol content, 6.66.
Oh, right. Well, apart from the alcohol strength, just flavour-wise, it's got a lot of flavouring.
I probably wouldn't have 4 schooners of this in a row,
No, I don't think it's certainly not a session sort of beer.
but it's got a great flavour. I like it. I really do.
Simon?
It's a bit too hoppy for me.
Yeah.
I'd heard of Moo Brew, but I didn't know where it was.
I've had their Hefeweizen beer a few times, which is excellent.
Ooh. And so, is there anything more to talk about the brewery?
I don't know anything other than it's associated with Mona. I think it's actually located in the same sort of precinct.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so.
it is. Does he own it, or does he just rent the space to them?
No, I think it's all part of the same enterprise along with a winery as well. So I've been there a couple of times, but the first time I went there, which would have been about 15 years ago, I actually had like a tasting paddle of their beers, just right alongside the art museum.
So, of the IPAs that we've had so far, I think this would be probably the furthest out on that scale.
Yes.
So far.
definitely.
I like it, but I think what you said, Mark, you wouldn't introduce someone to craft beer with
No,
this.
this is like diving into the deep end. This is like diving into the middle of the ocean for this one.
Yeah.
This is a classic beer nerd type one.
Well, you'd know about that, David. This brings us to the end of the Australian section
Oh, really?
of our reviews of potentially independent breweries, and now we're going to go international. Did you bring your passports?
You bet.
Yes.
All right, viewers, we've come to the end of the Australian section of our little review of breweries and whether they comply with our overall philosophy on independence. Now, Sidekick Dave has brought along this beer. It's from New Zealand, so not too far offshore. It's called Monteith's Black Beer. So let's give it a
Fairly
go.
straightforward naming there, isn't it?
Thank you.
You get what it says on the label.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. So New Zealand has been quite a hotbed of craft brewing in the last decade or two, and they grow a lot of fine hop varieties there, and there's a real craft brewing sort of
Fraternity?
fraternity, yes.
That's a good word.
Yes. Anyway, Monteith's, you've had this before, David?
I have had the Monteith's Black, and I think it's an excellent black. I can't understand why we haven't gone over there and done an episode there, Mark.
Well, we have to leave some things for years down the track. Well, we've nearly exhausted every brewery around here, that's for sure.
But could we?
We couldn't. Because Monteith's isn't independent.
Good point. Indeed, Monteith's is owned by Heineken, the world's second largest brewer.
And so is Heineken's like that? They're not owned by anyone. They are the overall company,
Heineken is the parent,
right?
but they own brands like Amstel, Moretti, the Italian beer, Tiger, the Singaporean brand. Who else do they own? Murphy's, which is a sort of a competitor to Guinness. You could say, an Irish brand.
Timu Guinness.
Bintang, the Malaysian beer. So-
Bintang, Dingham.
So they've got an international sort of spread.
Just to check that, is Bintang Indonesian?
Yes.
And Malaysian.
Oh, both, is it?
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah. That's where you get the t-shirt in Bali.
Yeah.
Not t-shirt, singlet.
Hey, what are we talking about? This is from New Zealand, a black.
Smells good.
Black ale.
All black.
Have you?
So I guess it's a little bit like it's
really like a
Tooheys Old.
I think it's more stouty.
I would say it's more towards a stout than the dark ale for like a Tooheys.
It's got a lot of flavour there, doesn't
Well, that's
it?
interesting. I've had it before. I can't remember. Is it positioned as a stout or a dark ale?
It's black.
Dark,
full
flavoured beer.
That doesn't tell us much, does it?
Manly men.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I would almost go with a stout or a porter.
Almost. It's at that end of the scale from a dark lager.
No, but it's not a dark. It's a dark ale.
Sorry, dark ale. But even still, it's almost got the hints of that molasses coming through.
No, it does. It does.
Well, you know why? Because it's got added sugar.
But
So-
doesn't sugar
On the Plato
add
side,
to
it'd be great.
the
Normally, you would get sugar.
alcohol level?
Normally, you would get sugar from the malted grain, but this has malted and roasted barley and sugar.
Simon, do you like it?
I do.
All right, we continue our international journey now and an exploration of whether this beer would qualify as a candidate for our channel.
Where are we venturing to now, Mark?
We're venturing to Germany. This is
Just there.
Simon has just come back from Germany's tour of Germany and Bohemia. Dave, you like a good Hefeweiss beer.
You bet.
So this is a pretty well known one.
Thank you.
It's called Weihenstephaner. Now, there's an interesting anecdote here that this is from the oldest continuing brewery in the world.
Wow.
It was founded in 1040, so it's nearly 1,000 years old.
Before the Battle of Hastings.
Yes, just. If nothing else, it's an interesting story.
I think it was last year, or the year before last, that they sponsored GABs in Australia.
Quite possibly.
And you could win a trip to the brewery.
Okay. Well, I haven't been to the brewery. I'm sure it'd be interesting to go there since it's so old. Anyway, let's have a taste.
Yes.
Prost.
Prost. Oh, I like the wheat beers.
There's no doubting, and it's got such a creamy head to it as well.
Yeah.
Now, Elaine Stefana, we need to talk about whether it's an independent brewery.
Mm-hmm.
This is a difficult one because is it owned by a publicly listed company? No. Is it owned by a national or international mainstream brewer? No, I wouldn't call this mainstream beer
Oh, definitely not.
by any means. It's a 1,000-year-old craft beer, but it's
Mine tastes fresher than that.
it's owned by the Free State of Bavaria. So it's actually a government-owned, of the state of Bavaria, beer. So it's not a publicly listed company. It's not a mainstream brewer. So this is one of those ones, Dave, you mentioned earlier, that there might be some that sort of are on the fence.
And so, often when a craft brewery or microbrewery gets taken over, it's more about deriving profit. Does this mean that because it's a public entity that owns it, it's more about still preserving what they're trying to produce rather than trying to squeeze the lemon and get as much out of it as possible?
I think that's probably the case, that, brewing in Bavaria is it's the main sort of cultural activity in Bavaria, and they, rather than sell out to somebody, well, let's preserve the art.
Yeah. It's like preserving an old castle or a palace or something.
That's right. So I imagine, it'll be run by a board. Will the state of Bavaria be telling them what to do or what not to do? Probably not too much. I mean, they're going to follow the traditions of the last 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Technically, it complies because it's not a publicly listed company. It's not a multinational or national mainstream brewer. But let's say, if a brewery was owned by the state of New South Wales, we might not think, well, that doesn't sound that independent.
I understand that, but I do think because of its heritage, the state ownership is actually probably trying to preserve that.
Yes.
Does that mean we can do a road trip?
Well, perhaps. Now, that I'd like to. It's not a beer that we're going to taste, but are you familiar with a beer called Budvar? It's often marketed as the original Budweiser.
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, it's a Czech beer, and it goes under the name Budvar or Budweiser. I can't pronounce the name of the place it comes from. Český Budojivici or something like that in Czechia. It's owned by the Czech state, and it's a Pilsner style beer. And I think the same thing, that it's probably there to preserve the original Czech brewing style. So it'd be similar to this.
But Budweiser then reflects that style. So Budweiser in the US reflects that style?
Well, I think Budweiser in the US originally was a sort of a German style lager beer. The company was called Anheuser-Busch, German names. I don't know whether the American Budweiser came from the same place in the Czech Republic, which is part of that Austro-Hungarian German area back in the day. But anyway, it was just that beer, the Budvar beer and the Weihenstephaner, being state-owned in their respective countries, sort of fall slightly outside our definition.
Yeah, but of course it's going to be a bit of a license and leeway, and it's academic because it's unlikely the three of us coming on a plane and going over there and doing a brewery. Could happen.
Could happen. But it is about preserving the artisanal tradition of brewing.
Yeah.
So I say tick of approval.
I would say if we were there, we would go there, do an episode, no problem. Can I ask, so the, you know this better than me, what is the overall doctrine for brewers that they adopt?
Well, in Germany, it's called the Reinheitsgebot. It's the German beer purity law of 1516.
So, 1516,
Yes.
they started in, did you say 1040?
Yes.
Yes.
So, just give or take 500 years before.
Yes. Before
Used by 1066.
before Mad King Ludwig even, thought about beer purity.
They possibly had a bit of an influence on the doctrine.
So could well have. Although I think it was brewed at a monastery originally. Now it's owned by the state, of course, so I'm not sure it's brewed by monks anymore. But a lot of beers in Europe were brewed by religious orders.
There are some beautiful Trappist beers.
There are.
Isn't Leffy also fall into that monk category at some point? Were monks involved?
Yes, well we might find that out a little later on.
Yes, that's what I said.
But also like Orval, was that a Trappist beer?
A lot of Belgian and Dutch beers were from monasteries and German, so that's sort of
How did they get it so right? Because they are fantastic.
Well,
God on this.
I guess so. They follow the recipes religiously. This is very. It's not bitter. It's quite mild and approachable. It's a little bit sweet. It doesn't.
It's sweet.
It doesn't taste. It's not that beery. I remember when I first went to Germany in 1985, when Australia just had, bland lagers. When I had wheat beer over there, I couldn't believe it, how good it was. That there was there were other flavours to beer.
But in these sorts of ones, the classic wheat, don't they throw either orange or...
I don't think in this, but in the Belgian ones they do.
Sorry, I must be getting confused.
So in your Hoegaarden you've got orange peel and coriander seeds. So orange peel is a common one in the Belgian sort of style. But I think in the German one, because you can't add anything extra other than grain, yeast, water, and hops. That's it. You can't put orange peel. You can't put anything else in. Okay, boys, we are continuing our European beer journey. We have what's a fairly ubiquitous beer in Europe. You can get it at a lot of places in Europe. You don't see it around here so much. It's called Pilsner Urquell. David, may I give you a taste?
Thank you very much. And while you're doing that, Mark, can I ask you a question? Is there a difference between the Pilsner Urquell and just what I would see as a Pilsner here?
Well,
or is there something special about this one?
Well, Pilsner is a style of a very crisp style of lager. Pilsner Urquell actually was the first Pilsner. It was the world's first pale lager dating back to 1842. So Urquell means from the source. So it's Pilsner from the source. It's brewed in the town of Pilsen, which is in Czechia. So it doesn't come a Pilsner doesn't come any more authentic than this one.
Okay. You know what they say, all's well that Urquell.
All's well at Urquell, yes.
Now, I must say, it's not as white as I expected in terms of colour.
Well,
because one of the pales we had was quite light, but
well, I mean, come on, 1842, they didn't have that much technology. That is just a
That is a
European
It's classic.
that is
Pilsner.
a crisp summer hot afternoon beer.
That's right. Cruising down the Danube. Yes.
As you once described, wouldn't you like to exit a European museum? It's a hot day, and the first thing you have is a crisp Pils.
Oh, nothing better.
Yes.
Nothing better. However, I'm going to disappoint you slightly in that although this is so historical, it's the original Pilsner of all time, it happens to be owned by Asahi these days.
So we can't do an episode.
We can't do an episode, and for that matter, Asahi also owns a number of other European brands, including Peroni and Grolsch, pretty well-known
Yeah.
brands. So, as opposed to Budvar Czech beer, which we spoke about earlier, which is owned by the state of Czechia, so they sort of retain ownership within the country. But this one, it's gone to the Japanese, but it's still brewed according to the original recipe. It still tastes great.
It's on the side of the can.
So-
The original Pilsner.
Why didn't the Czech state take over Pilsner?
I don't know, other than potentially this was bought earlier, and they may have gone, well, we better
Better grab.
grab similar, like
This is hoppy, but it isn't like
I don't
Over
find
the
it,
top.
over the top.
I don't find it in your face hoppy.
No,
It's crisp.
there's a crisp,
Mm,
refreshment about it.
yeah, it's not like a craft beer like hoppy that we're used to.
It's not
almost
having
like
overdone
this,
it.
this dryness in the aftertaste in your mouth. It's just,
Mm.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
but as you say, Dave, you go to some museum or cathedral or something in Europe in the middle of
Tell
summer,
me about it.
you walk out and you grab one of these, there's nothing better.
I think the problem is you need to grab more than one on a hot afternoon in Europe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's really nice.
So that is, just typical of your Central European sort of lager beers.
I must say we're fortunate these days to have this array of beers that are on offer in Sydney.
Yeah, well, we've been able to buy all these at, a fairly local bottle shop. So, yeah. And maybe also because of, in a lot of cases, the international ownership that they can distribute
Yeah.
globally.
So there's good points about
Globalization.
globalization.
Yeah, yes.
In terms of
But we
beer
don't
drinking.
need to poo-poo that. It's just that we wouldn't do episodes there.
No.
But there's a place for everything like that.
Yeah, well, there are, as we pointed out earlier, a lot of these beers, they're great beers. These are all good beers. We haven't selected any bad ones to taste.
We also, but we visit other places that we wouldn't do an episode at
Yes.
to partake. We just wouldn't do an episode there.
That's right. Well,
We're not saying the beer's bad.
no, we're just promoting independent brewing to keep that alive. Otherwise, everything will just be owned by multinationals.
Yes.
So we want to keep that alive, and there's a lot more room for experimentation on a small scale. You're probably going to find that, or you won't find that Heineken or Carlsberg or Guinness are going to do a whole lot of experimentation.
Yeah.
They're not going to do a mango and cherry sour beer.
No.
The thing is, the small breweries offer the opportunity for people to taste stuff that is different.
Yeah, and if you're commercialized to an extent that you're owned by a multinational, you can't afford to change
You're not going to
anything.
You're not going to brew 500 litres of something that's a bit off beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest that they're not going to brew 500 litres.
No.
Of anything.
5 million liters.
We now travel to Belgium, and I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Leffe. I say Leffe.
Leffe.
It's a Belgian Trappist ale, I think. I really, really like this beer.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is a blonde ale, 6.6%.
6.6.
Belgian Abbey beer, it says. So, I don't know how long it's been around, hundreds of years anyway, not this particular bottle, but the brand. We might have to wait for the head to die down a little bit. They make a blonde and they make a brown. They also make, I've had it in, they make one called a ruby, which is sort of a scarlet colour. It's a lovely beer, and let's have a taste.
Let's have a taste.
It's quite sweet.
I love the Leffe.
It's not, despite the head, it's not that fizzy.
Yep.
It's really, really nice, and I wish this would be compliant with our rules.
Is it not?
No, it's not. Unfortunately, well, maybe not unfortunately, but it is owned by a company called AB InBev, which is the largest global producer of beer.
Really?
Has 28% of the international beer market.
Wow. AB InBev.
AB InBev, it's
Wouldn't it have a better name?
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I think
They roll off the tongue.
the AB stood for Anheuser-Busch, but it's a Belgian company. It's the world's largest brewer. They have over 500 brands, beer brands, under their umbrella. Some of the better known ones, apart from Leffe, are Stella Artois,
Not a good Stella.
Budweiser, the American Budweiser, Corona, Beck's, Hoegaarden, and Lowenbrau. So they're all really, very, very, very well-known names, and there's another 480 of them around the world. So it's a massive owner of beer brands, but they still have maintained the flavour.
monks?
I don't know that it's actually made by monks.
Is it the
anymore.
same monks making it?
But certainly the style has endured,
It's really
and it's
nice.
really, really good. Viewers, we've reached the final beer in our tasting and our assessment of whether a brewery would comply or not with our philosophy of independence. Simon has brought along a Brewdog Red Ale.
It's a limited edition, it says on the can, and I bought it at Aldi.
Simon's a big Aldi promoter.
Often Brewdog does
Thank you very much.
Which looks
brews just for Aldi.
Just an ice cream.
Would you like a little head on that? Who doesn't like a little head? Thank you.
Oh, look, that's
Look,
perfect.
that's perfect. That's better than mine.
Yeah. Oh well. There
There you go.
There we go.
Backwards.
Okay, so Brewdog, independent or not?
I think, well, it's a UK company, right? But it's not mainstream. And is it listed? I'm not sure whether it's listed or not.
I've got no idea about this.
Well,
because I know
I would say that Brewdog started off and they had this sort of punk ethos where they were going to make different beers, punchy beers, and they were going to be, great and sort of a kick in the teeth to mainstream brewing, which was the case until 2 months ago. Depending on when we publish this, but it's May 2026 now. In March 2026, Brewdog was purchased by a US company called Tiray Brands. It's a listed company, and they are a US cannabis product and brewing.
Well, we can expect
Company.
some THC beer and
It gets better. It turns.
So Brewdog were or are still a craft brewer, originally from Scotland, with breweries in Scotland, Berlin, Ohio, and Brisbane. But they have just been bought by this listed group, who owns already owned a handful of US craft brands.
and cannabis
And-
dispensaries.
Yeah, it was originally set up and still is, I think, the main part of their business for cannabis, medicinal cannabis, and sort of leisure cannabis products in those
Recreational?
recreation in those jurisdictions where it's allowed. So I don't think we can call it independent
No,
anymore. But anyway, let's give it a taste.
So you can, give it a taste. And of course it's red, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, well, we have that theory about red, don't we, Dave?
Mm-hmm. Anything red is good, and that is really good.
Is it? It's not bad, is it?
It's really good.
I wish it was a limited edition because
There is a richness to it,
Mm.
but not a sickly richness. It's
No,
a
no.
natural richness.
It's a nice
I mean, it
maltiness
is
to it.
kind of an IPA-ish thing, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, but you can have a red IPA. That's fine.
fiercely to find an independent. This was obviously I bought this before March.
Yes.
Well, so
I thought it was a bit old in the taste.
this is amazing. So had we done this 8 weeks ago,
Yeah.
They would have
been different.
got our tick of approval. Well, I mean, the beer already gets our tick of approval.
Yeah, I think it's good. And as you say, Dave, anything that's red is usually good unless it's raspberry cordial, perhaps.
Yeah. So so cross to being able to do this as a brewery. Big tick. This is a great example of big tick where we love beer, but we would not be able to do it.
We've not been, and now I know Simon. I haven't been to it, but Simon's been. They've got a tap room in Sydney
Yeah.
that Simon's been to, where the beer is produced at their brewery in Brisbane.
Yeah, it's not produced in.
So that's exactly Redford.
Yeah.
But we would have given it a go. We still may go there and have a beer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's worth doing that.
But
I mean, it's a big deal. It's like a restaurant,
It's a big venue.
bistro venue thing.
Yeah.
Now that takes me on to something else. One thing we haven't touched on is often you'll get collaborative beers. So there are often times when breweries independent craft breweries will combine together and produce collaborative beers.
Yes, but that's generally between independent breweries, rather than between a sort of a big brand and a.
I get the impression that once you become part of the big one, there's not a lot of collaboration.
Or experimentation. No.
Yeah.
Now, I did also want to touch on a brand that I mentioned earlier when we were talking about ubiquitous international brands. I think I said that you could get at any airport.
Yes.
One of the ones I mentioned was Carlsberg, and I don't think anybody would suggest that Carlsberg was not a mainstream beer. But they have an interesting ownership model. Carlsberg's owned by the Carlsberg Foundation, and all of their profits go into scientific research and art and culture.
Really?
So it's not about, just building shareholder wealth. It's actually about good things.
Wow. So
Drink more
who?
Carlsberg.
Drink more Carlsberg.
Like, it's not a matter about who owns it, but who owns the foundation? Like,
Carl.
yeah.
Well, no, it's come out of the original. I think they're called the Jacobson family.
And so they bestowed this.
Yeah, to this, they created this foundation, and they actually own a number of other brands, which means that the profits from these other brands also go into scientific and art and culture. Tuborg, which is another well-known
Yes.
Danish brand, Tetley's, which is a Yorkshire bitter. Tetley's. Who else we've got? Mythos, which is a big Greek sort of brand.
Lager, I think.
Kronenbourg, which is probably the biggest French brand.
Wow.
And Lao, the sort of main brand in Laos. So they've got a sort of a fairly international spread of generally mainstream beers, maybe not Yorkshire bitter, but all of the profits of those beers go towards these great causes.
Wow. And so that's going to be ad infinitum, because if it's a trust, but whatever the
Foundation,
structure,
yeah.
well, no one really owns that, and so it's just going to continue.
That's right. It's interesting though that despite the fact that it's this ultimately a charitable foundation, they still want to purchase other breweries as if they were sort of a profit-making venture. So the board are obviously interested in building up the value of the foundation.
Yeah. Oh, right, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's still a multinational mainstream brewer. So, well, just another common multinational ubiquitous brand is Guinness.
Sure.
So Guinness Stout, everybody knows it. It's owned by a publicly listed company called Diageo PLC. Under that umbrella, there's 200 alcohol brands. Not that much beer though. There's Guinness, Kilkenny, Smithwick's, but in terms of spirits,
They are
Johnny Walker,
massive.
Smirnoff, Bailey's, and there's another 180 sort of brands.
Oh, and all the bourbons, they have
Tequila.
amazing.
Yes. But any beer under that umbrella, we couldn't do.
No.
Well, viewers, that concludes our little feature on what might or might not fit into the parameters as far as independence is concerned for It's Always Beeroclock. We tried about a dozen beers from a dozen different breweries. Cooper's, I think we agree that's a tick as far as an independent brewery. Balta, Little Creatures, no. Willie the Boatman was an interesting one with the Powder Monkey group, but I think we agree that it's still independent-ish. Young Henry's, definitely. Mountain Culture, yes. Australia's #1 craft beer for the last 4 years, yes. Moo Brew from Mona down in Tasmania, yes. Monteith's Black Ale, sadly no, owned by Heineken. Weihenstephaner, the oldest brewery in the world.
That was a curious one.
I think we're going to go yes on it.
I think we'd have to say yes.
Owned by the state of Bavaria, but there's no sort of further ownership, and there's certainly no sort of profit-making commercial sort of goal to it.
The overall ethos behind it, I think, is
Pilsner Urquell, the oldest Pilsner in the world,
I think that was a no, wasn't it? It was a no.
owned by Asahi. Leffe, this is a Leffe Brune, but we had a Leffe Blonde before. Great beer. However, it's owned by somebody who owns 28% of the world beer market,
Sadly.
but I mean, maybe they're keeping things alive that might otherwise have fallen by the wayside.
That's very true. That's very true.
Quite possibly. And then we tried the Brewdog Red Ale, where I think it would have been independent 2 months ago.
Yes.
But it's,
That's when I bought it.
it was independent when you bought it, yes. So anyway, folks, until next time we meet, remember, it's always Beeroclock. God, that was a marathon. They had Crazy Ivan on a hand pump.
And they were serving beer.
Sounds wrong for some reason. Did he want to get off? Oh dear.
We kept it together so well until now.